What is going on, you guys? It is your boy, Matt Talk Sports, and I am back recapping a full week of the NFL slate. And this time, week 10 is all but pretty much over. The last game was Monday night, Packers versus Eagles, which should be a great game. But for right now, we are recapping the full week 10 NFL slate that happened on Sunday. Now, for some, it was a great week. Maybe even in a great week if you had a bye week. For some, you won a game. You're happy, you feel victorious, and you're happy for the team that you got to watch and root for. For others, injuries are piling up, depressing outcomes, no matter if you're on the defensive side of the ball or offensive side of the ball. Some teams had one of the biggest, if not the biggest, victory of the entirety of the NFL last week, and then they lay an egg against a now 3-win team, and I'm on the latter side of that. So, if you made it this far in the video and you want to hear my rants and my vents about my favorite team, the Buffalo Bills, stay tuned. If you made it this far in the video and you want me to talk about other teams and the other games, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and stick around for a good recap of this Week 10 NFL football. Now, I'm not starting with the Bills first, all right? I'm not that selfish. I don't put myself in front of others. I'm going to start with the Berlin game because honestly, it was one of the best international games we've had this year, if not the very best. It was a fun game, and it was the perfect game to lead you into 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock slate. Now, let's get into it. Colts, they defeat the Atlanta Falcons 31-25. The Falcons have now lost 3 straight, and it's been downhill ever since the Bills game. Now, really, the Falcons, last week they put up a good fight against the Patriots. This week they put up a great fight against the Colts. They just couldn't capitalize off of their great start. And ultimately, the Colts pulled away. Danny Dimes played well enough despite having a fumble and an interception. Daniel Jones, 19-26, 1 touchdown. Really, today's memo, and maybe the memo of the season, and for someone who I think people are like, oh, Saquon had 2,000 yards rushing last year. If he's not going to win MVP as a running back, then no one ever will again. To be honest with you, I disagree with that sentiment because honestly, I think Jonathan Taylor has been more impressive than Saquon Barkley was last year. Jonathan Taylor is special. He's the best running back in the NFL, and he won the Colts this game this week. He was dominant as ever, and my God, is he a scary opponent for any AFC opponent heading into the playoffs because holy shit, he is dominant. Um, Daniel Jones got sacked 7 times today. I mean, the funny thing about the Colts O-line, they're one of the best O-lines in the NFL, but their pass pro has been leaky these past 2 weeks. I think he had like 5 sacks last week. Now he took 7 sacks this week against a blitzing Falcons defense. But then you look at the run blocking, they're chauffeurs, security guards for Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor had 32 carries, 244 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor also had 3 receptions for 42 yards, so he did it everywhere. And then the leading receiver for the Colts, the best rookie tight end in the class, Tyler Warren, 8 for 99. Alex Pierce, 4 for 84 and a TD. And really, man, it could have been more disastrous for Daniel Jones. He had 3 fumbles today, only lost 1. Actually threw the pick. But man, the Colts pulled away due to Jonathan Taylor's dominance. The Falcons, Anthony Penix continues to be underwhelming in my opinion. 12 for 28, 177 yards passing, and a touchdown. Bijan Robinson, 17 for 84, only 4.9 yards a carry. Tyler Algier, 11 for 57, 2 TDs. Drake London, 6 receptions, 104 yards, 1 touchdown. He continues to be one of the very best receivers in the NFL. He is so goddamn good. And if Penix didn't have him, I really don't know what Penix's success would be like. Darnell Mooney had 1 catch on 8 targets today. Pretty bad. Bijan was non-existent in the receiving game as well. Penix, he didn't have an interception. He did have a fumble for loss. We got to see Sauce Gardner for the first time in a Colts uniform, but outside of the 2-point conversion that Drake London absolutely dusted him on, he had a pretty good performance. So Drake London scored. Tyler Algier had 2 touchdowns, and then honestly, this is the game where Jonathan Taylor said, "Hey man, I'm having one of the most impressive running back seasons of all time. I'm the first running back to hit 1,000 yards. I'm first in touchdowns as a running back. I'm first in rushing yards, and I'm second in the league in carries. He can get it done in any way possible." In the past 5 games he played, he has 9 touchdowns, and he has 3 games over 100 and 2 games over 150 yards and 1 game over 240. So he's a demon, man. He is different. He is special. In the past 5 games, 3 of those games have been 3 touchdown games for Jonathan Taylor. So listen, we know this is a QB award, the MVP, but if there was ever a running back to be heavily considered for the MVP award in the 2020s, it would be Jonathan Taylor's year this year in the year 2025 because he's carrying the Colts on his back. And the reason why the Colts are scary is because of how great he is and how dominant he is behind the best run blocking O-line in the NFL. So the Colts moved 8-2. They're the number 1 seed in the AFC, and the Falcons fall to 3-6. And now they've lost 3 in a row. Moving on. And really, I don't want to talk about this game. I'm really going to paint a picture. So I'm going to tell you the score, then I'm going to go on a rant. Hopefully it's not too long because I don't want to cut up too many clips. But here's what happened to me. The Buffalo Bills, after a great victory against the Chiefs past Sunday, lose to the Miami Dolphins. Not in a shootout, not in a close game. They lose 30-13 against Tua Tagovailoa. No Tyreek Hill, no Jalen Phillips, and a team who just fired their GM. The Bills get dog walked. The Bills were held scoreless for 3 quarters. And man, I'm going to set the scene for you guys here because here's what happened to me today. So, it's about to be Bills versus Dolphins. I get home, I'm chilling. I grab my blanket because it's cold in my basement. I'm bringing my blanket down. I'm getting ready to watch the Miami Dolphins versus Buffalo Bills. And honestly, I'm like, hey, we're going to mop the floor with the Miami Dolphins. I know we're banged up. I know we're injured. I know the injuries are piling up. But even with the people we're missing today, I think we're going to win this game pretty convincingly. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the Bills to make a move. We get a pick on the first defensive possession. We get a 3-and-out for our first offensive possession. And then I'm like, okay, everything's okay. Malik Washington scores the first touchdown. And I'm like, oh, okay. Listen, bad teams score first sometimes. It's all right. Another bad possession offensively. Jalen Waddle scores on a deep streak against Maxwell Harrison. And I'm like, all right, 16-0, 13-0. I'm not really feeling scared. And then we go two quarters through. I'm like, all right, we're shut out 16-0. Listen, this is a bad, embarrassing start, but we're gonna come back. And then we get halfway through the third quarter. I'm like, oh, we're not scoring in the third quarter. We're getting shut out heading into the fourth. And for a second there, I thought we were making a comeback. That back shoulder fade streak to Keon Coleman, a play and pass that only works every 15 passes, it feels like now. And he scores a touchdown. I'm like, okay, all right. And then Maxwell Harrison gets the pick. And then it really a lot of bullshit in this game, to be quite honest. And to be honest, I wasn't like fiery or angry or violent. I'm never violent after a loss. I am violent within my head. I'm like, fuck. I can't believe we just lost. I hate losing. As I get older, more into my adult life, I'm like, man, I am a sore fucking loser. And I have to identify myself as a sore loser because I hate fucking losing. And this game, I should have been more angry at it. I really should have. But I tried to keep my composure because I know the potential of this team. But today was an inexcusable performance, an embarrassing performance. And honestly, not only did the Bills not get off the fucking plane in Miami, they must have not flew to Miami because that's how bad this performance was. This is one of the worst performances in the Josh Allen and Sean McDermott era, especially considering what we just did last week. Finally, I'm like, hey, the Bills, we're good. We had a couple scares. We lost 2 in a row, but the Chiefs, they woke us back up, and we're going to continue this style of play heading into Dolphins next week. That was my biggest thing heading into this week. I'm like, hey, I'm curious how we keep up this momentum. Are we going to keep playing with the stick up our ass? No. Instead, we fucking came and played in this game like we didn't know football at all. Really, the memo of this game was the offense. Listen, people are going to blame the defense in this game, and they did not play good at all. But they were banged up. They had excuses. Like, we had 3 CBs out, a safety out, interior defensive lineman out. So there's excuses there. We didn't have our full strength. But the offense, I know Kincaid went out in the third quarter, but we were scoreless for 2 quarters with Kincaid. So that was astonishing to watch. Josh Allen had to put on his cape, and honestly, Josh Allen had a pick and he had a fumble. The pick, I don't know who to blame on that. Is it Dawson Knox or is it Josh Allen just trying to make something happen? I don't know. But nonetheless, that shouldn't have happened. Whether it was Dawson Knox or Josh Allen's fault, Josh Allen has to realize Dawson Knox is in the wrong place and he shouldn't throw that ball, and we need to kick a field goal. And then James Cook, we're having a great drive. All the great drives the Bills had in this game ended in a fucking turnover. Legitimately. That's like, except for 2 drives we scored a touchdown on. Every other drive that looked great, 3, we fucking turned the ball over. The James Cook drive where he's trying to make an incredible play, he's running the ball. His knee almost hits the ground first, but a great punch out by the Dolphins. Josh Allen's pick, it was a great drive, heroic drive by Josh Allen in the third quarter, and he throws a pick. And then the Josh Allen fumble, the QB sneak, he somehow gets 25 yards on the QB sneak, and as he's chugging and chugging, he's trying to get more plays, be a superhero, punch out by the middle linebacker on the Miami Dolphins. So it was just really a disheartening football. And then the predictability of the Bills was so prominent today. And that's what made second and third down so complicated, because it's a first down run play. The Dolphins are calling it perfectly, and they're shutting down James Cook. And it's like, hey, now it's 2nd and 9. Now it's 3rd and 8. Because, God, we can't rely on a receiver getting open, especially without Kincaid and Josh Palmer. Those are only 2 people who beat man consistently. And then Shakir, we're only throwing fucking screen and bubble routes to him. James Cook today was 13 carries, 53 yards, 4.1 yards a carry. He only had 13 carries today after having his career high last week, 27. He was on the injury report all week, so I understand why he didn't have that many touches, but we shouldn't have went away from the run so early with James Cook because it wasn't working. I get why we went away from it, but at the end of the day, this offense is way better when it's multifaceted and when the run is working, and then we could use it to make plays in the passing game. But really, man, the story of today is the receiving core, because not only the receiving core was underwhelming outside of Kincaid, who had 2 catches on 3 targets before he got injured, and then Shakir 758, and Keon Coleman with the one play wonder, to try to get the comeback started. The big issue today was this. Before any football kicked off for Sunday, we see a report from Tom Pelissero saying the Buffalo Bills were this close to trading for Waddle, except we offer them a first and a third, the first being the 2027 pick in the first round, and the third pick being the 2026. The Dolphins were ready to play a game, except they wanted the 2026, not the 2027 first round pick. And Brandon Beane said no, didn't pull the trigger, which is alarming. It's alarming. It's pretty fucking alarming, dude. Because, first of all the receivers outside of Shaheed who didn't get any burns today because they were blowing out the Cardinals. Olave looked great today. He scored a touchdown. Waddle scored a touchdown against us. Every offensive weapon we were trying to trade for scored a weapon and looked great today. And the Bills don't have him because Beane doesn't want to pull the fucking trigger because he's so prideful. And he's like, hey, we drafted our guys. I'm confident in our guys. But hey, buddy, guess what? Keon Coleman, our first pick in the draft we chose him in, can't get open man-to-man. Can't get open consistently. Can't get open in the intermediate routes. He's a guy you want to throw up to and hopefully he comes down because of his athleticism. But sadly, that's all he can do. He can't do anything else. Legitimately. And Khalil Shakir, he's a good receiver. I like him, but he's not a wide receiver 1, dude. And especially with how this offense is schemed. They're only scheming bubble screens, these drag routes, these wide receiver screens to Khalil Shakir. And his offensive game is very limited and quite honestly predictable. Kincaid is one of the best offensive weapons in the NFL. He's a great tight end, but he is now injured, and it looks like a multi-week injury. So this is who we're relying on heading into Tampa Bay. I know we're playing at home, but playing Tampa Bay next week. We're relying on Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman. Who knows if Joshua Palmer's going back? I'll throw him in there. Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, Jackson Hawes, and Dawson Knox. We saw how different the game was with Dawson Knox as tight end 1 and not Dalton Kincaid. I love Dawson Knox. He's done so much for the Buffalo Bills franchise and the community, but he's not a tight end 1 in 2025. And frankly, he got paid way too much money. But that's a conversation for a different day. It's just frustrating football, man, because the defense was playing good. They did force the ball over twice from Tua. Now, first of all, the run game on the Miami Dolphins ended up going nuts. I mean, Devon Achane had 174 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, or three, I forget. I think it was just two. But the defense started to dwindle at the end because the offense wasn't doing what it was supposed to do and is what it's expected to do with Josh Allen at the helm. The Bills were just sleepwalking this entirety of the game. From the jump, you knew this game was off. When the Bills got the pick, it's a great play. I mean, it's unbelievable. Cole Bishop gets the pick. It was a bad pass by Tua, but nonetheless, Cole Bishop has been great. He gets the pick. And you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a blowout. And then you see the offense. It's a 3-and-out. And the 3rd-and-1, we get it to 4th-and-1. And McDermott pulls the team off the field. He says it's too early. No, 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 no. No. You go for that. You have Josh Allen, a 6'5" quarterback. Do the tush push or the QB sneak. We're getting the first down. This whole team was sleepwalking, man. It was really despicable to watch. The play calling from Joe Brady was horrible to watch. It's frustrating to watch. And this motherfucker called an end around again. After McDermott called him out for it, and after how disgusting that play has been for us this year, and he runs the end around again. The balls on this dude, the audacity. Why are you running this fucking end around, and why are you so stuck up on it? Stop calling the fucking end around. It doesn't work with Elijah Moore, Khalil Shakir, fucking Dawson Knox. It doesn't work. Put it out of your fucking playbook. I gotta imagine that's what Sean McDermott's saying to him when it comes time to talk about that play in the film room. It's disgusting. And I don't know why we aren't running Josh more. And listen, I don't want Josh to be, you know, dealing with any injuries, God forbid, or working him like a workhorse and working him more than he should be. But like Josh is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks ever, let alone in the league right now. The threat of his feet has not been prominent in this offense. We need to start doing that more and earlier in games because when he started to use his feet late in this game today, the offense looked better. Josh Allen, when he had to put the superhero cap on, looked way better in the offense. But guess what? All the plays Josh Allen was making gassed him out for the last parts of the drive and the most important parts of the drive. Josh Allen, the only way those receivers are getting open is when when he's scrambling for fucking 10 to 20 seconds. It's frustrating. No one can't get open unless Josh Allen scrambles. It's absurd. I don't know if it's the play designs or it's the receivers not getting open. I'm leaning towards the receivers not getting open. And Brandon Beam, you're the GM of this team. You should be seeing this like all the fans are seeing this. Why wouldn't you give them the 2026 first round pick for Jalen Waddle? Someone that would open up this offense and allow Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir to fall in the correct spots they're supposed to. Keon Coleman is a good wide receiver 3, maybe even good wide receiver 2. He would be a perfect Gabe Davis fit. And then Khalil Shakir, Cole Beasley fit. And then you have Jalen Waddle, who can take the top off the defense. Instead, you want to be stingy and not give him the first round pick. That's going to be a mid to late 20 overall pick anyway. It's disgusting. And this team better get his heads out of his ass, man, because the Patriots look great today. The Patriots are one of the best teams in the NFL, and the Patriots are already far, far into their rebuild and exceeding expectations that they shouldn't be at the moment. And Bills fans and Bills players and the franchise should be keeping their head on a swivel because holy shit, they got a team over there. And it's a year ahead of schedule. And they got cap to play with. We have no fucking cap to play with. And seemingly, we can't draft for shit. The only 2 people who look good today, legitimately, was Joey Bosa with the club arm, Cole Bishop, and Maxwell Harrison. And people be like, Maxwell Harrison got burned on a streak by Jalen Waddle. Guess what? It's his 2nd or 3rd game in the NFL. You're going to get burned by one of the best NFL receivers in the NFL. And guess what? We should have had Jalen Waddle. So if we fucking trade for Jalen Waddle, that play wouldn't have happened. Maxwell Harrison is a game changer, man. And so is Cole Bishop. They look really fucking good. But at the same time, the injuries for this Bills team is stacking up, and it is getting alarming. It is. I don't want to be the boy who cried wolf and say the injuries and give all these excuses about the injuries. Every NFL team is injured at this point in time. But the injuries for the Bills are reaching a point where it's like it might be hard to overcome, especially defensively. We had no CB today. We had no Taron Johnson. And then Landon Jackson, our 2nd or 3rd round pick, left the game with a hamstring, whatever the fuck he left the game with. It was a really poor performance by the Bills today. Poor and horrible turnovers that ruined great drives. And then the run defense was horrible today, but that wasn't until later. It really felt like the Bills could have came back if the turnovers didn't happen. Like Tua wasn't great today. The Dolphins suck, dude. They suck. I know they're an in-division opponent, and losses to in-division opponents happen, a lot over the course of a season. They see you twice a year. They're gonna have a better game plan against you than other teams who only see you once a year. But Tua Tagovailoa, 15 to 21, 173 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 2 picks, and the Bills only scored 13 points. The Dolphins had 16 points heading into the third quarter. If you told me that before this game, I'd be like, oh, the Bills are winning that game. The Bills are up 30 to 16 heading into the fourth. Nope, it was 16-0 Dolphins. Devon Achane, 22 carries, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7.9 yards a carry. Devon Achane is terrific, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Versatile, receiving, running. He bodied us this week. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 84, 1 touchdown. Devon Achane, 6 for 51. Legitimately, the receiving core for this Dolphins team got shut down. It was really the rushing attack. But even then, the Bills defense was doing a good enough job for the offense to capitalize off the empty possessions the Dolphins had. And the Bills offense couldn't do it. One, because of the turnovers. Two, because the receivers can't get open. And two, because Brady is one of the most inconsistent play callers in the NFL. He's one of the most talented play callers. He saved us after Ken Dorsey. But he's super inconsistent, super lackadaisical, and can't get his head out of his ass. That end around, if I see another end around this year, I'm going to be pissed. It's 4th and 1. We go for it. Instead of QB sneaking, which we would have got it, we would have gotten it. He does a play action, fake QB sneak to throw it to Jackson Hawes. I love Jackson Hawes, by the way. Great blocker. He got a touchdown today. Shout out to him. It's crazy, man. Why do we pay Curtis Samuel and Elijah Moore if they're going to only have 1 to 2 targets a game? Tyrell Schaefer's, I really enjoy Tyler Schaefer's. He was a practice squad guy. He earned his way to the main roster. I see way too much of this dude on the field. He makes no impact outside of the blocking. So I've been talking about this game for 20 minutes or so. But holy shit, did this game infuriate me. And I'm surprised I wasn't more angry. I was just disappointed. It's like when you're a kid and you're focusing on partying in high school, chilling with girls, hanging with your boys, and your mom sees your report card and she's like, "What's up with your grades? You're smarter than this." That's how I feel about the Bills. You're way better than this. You're 6-2, and you're losing to a 2-win team, now 3-win team, when you have a chance to fucking get in on the division if the Patriots lose. And the Patriots won. And now they're 8-2, and the Bills are 6-3 with a harder schedule coming up. This was one of your easy wins on the schedule. You're late half. And you fucking lost. The Bills play way too much down to their opponents way too many times. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, bro. And Brandon Beane, man, I love you. You drafted Josh Allen. You drafted Cole Bishop and hopefully Maxwell Harrison, who looks like he's going to be an NFL player for quite some time with the speed he has. But holy shit. Why don't you trade for Waddle, dude? 2027 is the better draft anyway. 2026, we're going to have a 27th overall pick or a 28th. Why aren't you trading for Jalen Waddle? Why are you so stubborn? You know how rare it is for an in-division team to play with you for a trade for one of their best players? They're trying to clean house. All they wanted was this year's first-round pick, and who the fuck are you going to draft with it? Because you miss on majority of them. And then this year you had the audacity to yell at a Buffalo Bills fan talk about complaining about we didn't draft a wide receiver in this past draft. You can see why they are concerned. Because look at this receiving core. It's just horrible, man. The Bills lose 30-13, and I'm pissed about it. The Bills, I love the Bills. This is my forever team. I'll ride, I'll die with this Buffalo Bills team. They better get their head out of their ass. They're playing the Tampa Bay Bucks next week, and I know the Patriots just beat them soundly. Guess what? Not going to be as soundly and as neat as the Patriots did it because the Patriots have better coaching, certainly on offense and overall with Mike Vrabel. And honestly, the Bucks are getting healthier. So, Bills, wake the fuck up. And it's going to be at home. So I need to see something out of these Bills. And I don't want to. If you guys want to play look ahead on the line, they're -5.5. So listen, I know the Bills play down to their opponent seemingly, and they play up to them. I'm curious what they do next week because if today is an indictment for the rest of the season, the Bills are going to be shit. I know what I just did. I just went on a flagrant rant, but the Bills will do that to you if you're a fan. I'm sure a lot of fans are feeling the same way I'm feeling. And I'm going to start going live after games, YouTube or TikTok. I'm going to start going live after games because how I feel after the games right away is pretty potent and I think pretty fucking exactly how everyone else is feeling if you're a Bills fan. So the Bills, my beloved Bills, they lose to one of the worst teams in the NFL and a team who is a fucking shithouse right now. They lose to, not only did they lose, they got dominated. They didn't even show up. As sick as I am, I know the rest of this team is sick as well. So hopefully they take this anger and this frustration and disappointment and they craft it into a beautiful victory next week and for momentum heading into the rest of the season because they're sure as hell going to need it. Because this isn't a cakewalk division anymore. We have Drake Bay, Mike Rabel, and fucking Josh McDaniels coaching their ass off. Matt Collins and Stephon Diggs, who I hate seeing making big plays for the Patriots week in, week out. Stephon Diggs had a beautiful touchdown catch, which we'll get into when we talk that game. But fuck, man. Imagine what Stephon Diggs would have done for this offense, even in the stage of his career he's in right now. So the Bills pissed me off today, and they lose to one of the worst teams in the NFL, 30-13. I'm gonna have fun clipping this fucking part of the video up because holy shit, did I go on a tangent. All right, let's get into the rest of the games today. The Jets, no longer with one win. They moved to 2-7, and this game kind of went how I predicted, except for the first two times the Jets touched the ball in this game, it was a kickoff return for a touchdown and then a punt return for a touchdown. Cleveland Browns fall to 2-7, and you know, this is really a battle of two dwindling and bent up teams because Dylan Gabriel, 17 for 32, 167 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and took 6 sacks. The Jets just got rid of Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner today, and I love what I saw from Aaron Glenn and this defense today. They were playing fiery and ready to go. Um, Dylan Gabriel, man, can we fucking get some Shador Sanders burn? I'm getting sick of it. I want it for content, and I want to see what Shador Sanders looks like in the NFL. Can we get Shador Sanders starting? Hopefully it's against the Buffalo Bills, because I'm curious how he would look. Quinshon Judkins, 22 for 75. Dylan Gabriel, 5 for 54. Jerry Jeudy, 6 for 78. 1 touchdown. Njoku started the game with a touchdown, 2 for 21. Harold Fanning Jr., 4 for 44. And really, the receiving core for the Browns was shut down today. Dylan Gabriel is just not a good quarterback. He's not a starter. And honestly, the Jets' offense outside of Breece Hall today was horrible. Are you ready for these stats? Because this is what Justin Fields did today passing. He was 6 for 11, 54 yards, and 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He took 3 sacks. And Breece Hall had the 1 catch for 42 yards and a touchdown, which won them the game. But if Breece Hall didn't have that 42-yard reception for a touchdown off the halfback screen, he would have finished with 12 yards passing today. Breece Hall was dominant today, and I feel like the Chiefs are probably kicking themselves in the foot for not trading for Breece Hall for a third-round pick. Breece Hall, 21 carries, 83 yards, no rushing touchdowns, but he did have the receiving touchdown that won them the game. So really, the special teams in Breece Hall is what won the Jets this game. The Jets moved to 2-7. Browns fall to 2-7. It was actually a pretty fun game. Moving on, Davis Mills, the Texans, they moved to 4-5. The Jaguars, they fall to 5-4. And I'm curious if Leanne Cohen is going to move on with Trevor Lawrence as his starting quarterback for the future because I have a feeling he isn't. Trevor Lawrence, 13 to 23 today, 158 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 5 sacks, and honestly, he's playing a great defense, so you can't be too mad at him. Travis Etienne, 16 for 58, 1 touchdown. Trevor Lawrence, 5 for 35, no touchdowns. Jacoby Myers, first game as a Jaguar, 3 catches for 41 yards. Parker Washington, 3 for 33, 1 touchdown. Parker Washington continues to be the best playmaker for the Jaguars and maybe the most consistent of the entire year. He had a punt return for a touchdown today, and he was really effective receiving-wise. As much as you can be against this Texas defense, because this Texas defense is Super Bowl caliber. I say it every week, but it's true. The one pick that Trevor Lawrence threw, it was a one-hand grab by Derek Stingley Jr., who has maybe the best ball skills as a corner in the NFL. He is remarkable to watch. Davis Mills, what a day. 27 for 45, 292 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He ran one in to win the game. Woody Marks, 14 for 63. I thought he was out, but he came back in and played one touchdown. Nick Chubb, 5 for 47, 9.4 yards a carry. Go ahead, Nick Chubb. Davis Mills, 3 for 20, one touchdown, which was the touchdown that won them the game. And surprisingly, Davis Mills, this Texans battle line, he only took 2 sacks today. Nico Collins, 7 for 136. Dalton Schultz, 7 for 53, a touchdown. Jaden Higgins, 5 for 42, and a touchdown. Jalen Noel, 4 for 35. And the Texans defense really put some pressure on Trevor Lawrence today. Uh, the Texans really had the big man pick six to win the game. It was electric to watch. Daniil Hunter, 3.5 sacks today. He was unreal. This D line for the Texans might be the best in the NFL. Will Anderson with the sack that resulted in the pick six for the big boy. Sheldon Rankins with the pick six. It was glorious to watch the big man get the touchdown. Stingley and Sheldon Rankins got the picks for the Texans today. Unreal. Davis Mills did enough to get the job done today. And I just knew this game was going to go this way because the Jaguars are just pointing down, in my opinion. Trevor Lawrence, I just knew he was going to have a hard time, and he had a hard time. Hard time today facing that Texas defense. And I feel like a lot of people would because this Texas defense is unreal. Trevor Lawrence took 5 sacks today. He threw a pick, which was honestly just a great play by Stingley. And then the fumble 6, which feels like a pick 6, but they call it a fumble. It was unreal to watch, man. So, Texans, this defense is unreal, and they steal a game with Davis Mills after being down quite a bit in this game. So, shout out to the Texans for showing fight, and the Jaguars are tending downward. The Jags fall to 5-4. The Houston Texans move to 4-5. Moving on, and to a game that infuriated me today. Just infuriated me because the Patriots, every week, I'm waiting for the Patriots to be due for a loss. I'm waiting for them to lose, and they don't lose. The Patriots move to 8-2. The Tampa Bay Bucks fall to 6-3. Unreal. Drake Maye, man, he's an MVP favorite right now, and you can't say he shouldn't be. Drake Maye, 16 for 31, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And then Travion Henderson, he had the huge day and the breakout game that every Patriots fan has been waiting for, and a lot of fantasy owners. Travion Henderson, 14 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. Drake Maye, 7 for 13. Matt Collins, 6 receptions, 106 yards, 17.7 yards of reception. He had that 54-yard bomb that he caught that changed the game and opened up the game for the Patriots. And really, what started this run for the Patriots was first the response to the first touchdown by the Buccaneers by Emeka Ibuka. Kyle Williams, sole catch of the game, took it to the crib, 1 reception, 72 yards, and a touchdown. And then Stephon Diggs, that touchdown before half. Mike Vrabel with the balls to go for it, with time expiring, instead of taking the field goal, and ultimately brought the momentum into the second half. That beautiful toe tap from Stephon Diggs, which I saw so frequently in Buffalo. Stephon Diggs, 5 receptions, 46 yards, and a touchdown. They did this without Kayshon Boutte today, and with minimal Demario Douglas usage. Demario Douglas 2 for 34. Hunter Henry 1 catch and 9 yards. Really, Drake Maye was great today, and Travion Henderson opened this game up and opened up this Patriots offense to new heights, and hopefully this doesn't keep up longer because I'm getting more and more worried every time I watch the Patriots play, and they keep on exceeding expectations. The Buccaneers 28 for 43, 273 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Baker only took 2 sacks. Baker was pretty good today. Sean Tucker, 9 for 53. Rashad White, 10 for 38. And the Bucks are desperately missing Bucky Irvin. I hope they don't get him back next week, but the week after, hopefully you guys get him back because your offense is missing that explosiveness and that shiftiness of Bucky Irvin. Emeka Ibuka, 6 for 115 yards, 1 touchdown. He was great today. K.I. 9 for 82. Tez Johnson, 3 for 42. Sterling Shepard, 3 for 20. And Chris Godwin isn't back yet. Hopefully he doesn't come back next week. Like I said, Mike Evans is being missed. He's probably out for the year. And honestly, the Bucks, the injuries are just piling up for the Bucks, and that's what's stopping this offense from reaching its true heights that we all saw at the start of the year. The Patriots, man, it's just heartbreaking to me. I touched on it during the Bills game, but it's like the Bills have won 5 straight AFC East titles. And the Patriots were in a dire rebuild ever since Tom Brady left. They had Cam Newton and Mac Jones at quarterback, and now they really have their guy, an MVP frontrunner. And they're 8-2. They're first in the AFC East. And the Bills, they have 5 AFC East titles, and they have nothing to show for it. And now the Patriots are one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're one of the most impressive teams in the NFL. So not only did the Bills lose to the Dolphins this week, one of the worst teams in the NFL, but the Patriots continue to look like one of the best NFL teams, and they have a quarterback that is legit and is going to be in the NFL for quite some time. So yeah, um, not great right now if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. It's not going to be a great week, and it's going to be hard to listen to sports talk shows in the upcoming days. My favorite sports talk show is First Things First and Bill Simmons and things of that nature, and I'm not going to want to listen to those. So the Patriots, they have a firm lead on the AFC East. They're 8-2, and the Bucks fall to 6-3 with Buffalo Bills on the horizon heading into Buffalo. So, man, to say I'm uberly confident the Bills, who are -5.5 against the Bucks, are going to beat the Bucks at home, can't say I'm too confident. I believe in the Bills. I will never stop believing in the Bills, but not confident, especially with the Bucks dire and desperate for a win. So, moving on, we'll see Bucks next week in Buffalo, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna beat them, but I'm not confident. The Bears. The Bears come back in a great game. They were down 17-10 heading into the fourth quarter. They outscored the Giants 14-3 in the fourth quarter. The Bears moved to 6-3. The Giants fall to 2-8. And what a comeback game for the Bears. With that being said, you have to realize, you have to notice, Jackson Dart did leave the game in the third quarter with a concussion. And I forget who was commentating this game. I think it might have been Greg Olson. He's like, "Oh, who would you rather have as a backup than Russell Wilson?" I was like, I think I'd have quite a lot of other people in the year 25 over Russell Wilson because he threw 7 passes today, and half of them looked horrible. Um, the blitz was getting to Russell Wilson though. Russell Wilson only played 1 quarter, and he had the same amount of sacks as Jackson Dart. He had 2 sacks taken. Um, Jackson Dart, man, he's legit. He just has to be careful taking these hits. It was what I was worried about with Josh Allen to start his career. He's such a great improviser. He's such a great scrambler. And he's such a great dual threat quarterback. But he is of that mentality where I'm not sliding. And we saw that hit do damage on Jackson Dart today. So Jackson Dart continues to impress despite him leaving the game early. Jackson Dart 19-29, 242 yards passing, no passing touchdowns. Jackson Dart with 2 rushing touchdowns though, 6 for 66. Tyrone Tracy 14 for 71. The run game was really good for the Giants today. Darius Slayton, he wears number 18. I thought it was Justin Jefferson. I was like, how the hell did Justin Jefferson get on the Giants? He looked really good today. 4 for 89. Theo Johnson 7 for 75. Wanda Robinson 6 for 62. Devin Singletary 3 for 53. And Jackson Dart, the only turnover he had was when he got concussed, the 1 fumble. The Giants are just, ever since that Broncos game, they can't hold on to leads, man. That's the story of the Giants season. They cannot hold on to a lead. They just can't. The Caleb Williams, 20 for 36, 220 yards passing, 1 touchdown. We want to see better games from Caleb Williams, to say the least. He throws a rocket, man. Sometimes he doesn't need to throw a rocket, but he throws a rocket. It kind of reminds me of Joe Milton at times. DeAndre Swift, 13 for 80, 6.2 yards a carry. Caleb Williams, 8 for 63, 1 touchdown. And Kyle Monungai, who I really love, 7 for 28, 1 touchdown. Caleb Williams, the most impressive thing to me about him is his ability to improvise and his scrambling ability. If he starts utilizing that more like he did today, he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I love his rocket arm, by the way, but sometimes it is way too much and way too hard. Pause. Rome Odunze, like I said in the pregame show, prediction show, he was going to get back on the board and he wasn't going to have 0 receptions again. 6 for 86, 1 touchdown. And you know who had 0 receptions? His opposing receiver, wide receiver number 2, DJ Moore, 0 for 0 today. Colson Loveland, he continues to make an impact now with Cole Kmet being limited. 4 for 55, Luther Burden 3 for 51, DeAndre Swift 5 for 18, Zacchaeus 1 for 5. And really, the blitz for the Bears is pretty interesting. CJ Gardner-Johnson, they just picked him up last week. He already has 3 sacks for the Bears. He had 2 today. Pretty interesting. Montez Sweat, 1.5 sacks. Like, the Bears, they came back and listen, I would love to come on here and say Caleb Williams was like ultra impressive and it was a fiery comeback, but honestly the comeback is due to Ben Johnson's offensive genius and the Giants losing Jackson Dart for a quarter. And the quarter they lost him for, they got outscored by 11 points. So the Bears, they moved to 6-3. They face the Vikings next week. They meet up with number 9, and the Giants fall to 2-8. And at this point, the Giants are playing for a very high draft pick. And honestly, the Giants are in a great spot because I know Giants fans might not want to hear this, but drafting high up is a luxury when you don't have to focus on picking a quarterback. And the Giants don't have to do that. They can pick the best player available. So that's something to look forward for if you're a Giants fan. You don't have to rely on picking a quarterback anymore. You have your guy seemingly. You can pick the best player available now. So moving on. The Ravens, man. That Bears win with Tyler Huntley was huge. And they're 4-5, and they look like one of the best teams in the NFL. And their defense has been getting better. Um, the Ravens win today, 27-19. They move to 4-5. The Vikings fall to 4-5. And listen, it wasn't like the Ravens were ultra great today. Lamar Jackson's still getting healthy. He's still trying to work out some kinks in his armor right now, coming back from injury. But he was more mobile today. He was running the ball way more than in the Miami game. He looked mobile, but he still did look a little bit slow. He only took one sack today, 17 for 29, one touchdown passing. Derrick Henry 20 for 75, Lamar 9 for 36. Keaton Mitchell, who they should give more burn to, by the way, 4 for 31. Zay Flowers 4 for 75. Charlie Collier, by the way. This three tight end system they got in Baltimore has been interesting to watch. They have Collier, Likely, and Mark Andrews. Likely's coming off an injury, so maybe that's why he's not as involved in this passing game recently, but it's interesting to watch Collier be a bigger part of this offense than anyone probably would have guessed coming into the season. Zay Flowers 4 for 75, Charlie Collier 1 for 23, Isaiah Likely 2 for 17, DeAndre Hopkins 2 for 16. Really, the passing game was like 176 yards passing. It really wasn't existent. The Baltimore Ravens should hold their head high because of this defense, because this defense won them this game, and the offense being pretty smart with the football and having long drives is what sealed the game for the Ravens. JJ McCarthy, listen, I love what I saw from you last week. This week it was pretty abysmal. 20 for 42, 248 yards passing, one touchdown, two interceptions, and only had one sack taken today. JJ McCarthy led the team in rushing, 5 for 48. Aaron Jones, 9 for 47. Jordan Mason, 4 for 25. They should have ran the ball more in this game because Aaron Jones was getting 5 yards a pop and Jordan Mason was getting 6 yards a pop. So they really should have done that. Jalen Naylor led the team in receiving, 5 for 124 yards, one touchdown. Jay Jetta, 4 for 37. Jordan Addison, 3 for 35. So really the turnovers for the Vikings stunk today. The kick return fumble and then the two picks by JJ McCarthy were horrible, man. It was really hard to watch at some points from JJ McCarthy. One of the picks he threw, he moved up so well in the pocket, he could have taken off and got, 10 to 15 yards. Instead, he threw a pick where I think Justin Jefferson fell, and I think Malachi Starks or Marlon Humphrey picked it off. And it's just like, dude, just run up. But he's a rookie pretty much, so you can't really put too much blame on him. So the Ravens continue to impress after Lamar came back. Their defense is seemingly getting healthier and is playing better. And I'm not willing to say they're all the way back yet, but much needed wins, and they've gotten all three of them recently. So shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. They're handling business right now, and they are clearly hungry to get in the playoffs. Moving on. After the Saints got obliterated by the Bears, I believe, I was like, I'm never picking the Saints again. And it was working until today it wasn't. We got the Tyler Shuck performance, and we got the classic Carolina Panthers performance. Like I said in the prediction video, I'm like, if the Panthers are the Panthers, they will lose this game. And guess what? The Panthers are still the Panthers, and they lost this game. Bryce Young threw a pick, and he couldn't do enough to win this game. He's not, like I said in the prediction video, he's not going to do enough to win you the game, but guess what? If you're having a good performance in every other facet of the game, he's not going to do a whole lot to lose you the game. But as a number one overall pick, that's not what you want. You want a game changer. But Tyler Shuck, the Saints made the right move at quarterback, benching Rattler. As much as I love the Rat Man, they made the right move. Tyler Shuck, 19 to 27, 282 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He had one of the better quarterback performances of the day. Alvin Kamara, 3.8 yards a carry, but 22 carries, 83 yards, and had a huge fourth down conversion in this game. Chris Olave, another Bills receiver that they should have traded for, he went off today. He looked like a wide receiver number one. 5 receptions, 104 yards, 1 touchdown. Jawan Johnson, one of the most underrated players in the NFL, 4 for 92, 1 touchdown. And really, Tyler Shuck played great today. He played great today. It was really interesting to see. The Panthers looked like they were lost today. Bryce Young had a pick and a fumble today. Dowdle, 18 for 53, 1 touchdown. Ted McMillan, 5 for 60 yards. And the rest of the receiving corps for the Carolina Panthers was shut down. The Saints showed up today and the Panthers didn't, ultimately. And the Panthers are still the Panthers, despite that Packers loss. And you know what that means? The Packers are definitely winning tomorrow. Because the NFL is so weird and so bipolar. The Panthers are still the Panthers, and they're going to lose games like this. Moving on. The 4 o'clock slate was blowout central, man. It was blowout, blowout, blowout central. Honestly, the Sunday night football game was blowout as well. We'll get there, but the Steelers get out of prime time. I'm sick of them. Let me know if you had this bet today. DeMarcus Lawrence, 2+ touchdowns. It's not like you could have bet it. He's the defensive end, in case you didn't know. The Seahawks are one of the most impressive teams in the NFL. One of the most impressive teams in the NFL, and Sam Darnold should be in the MVP conversation. Eighth in passing yards, ninth in passing touchdowns, only has 6 interceptions on the year, and he's first in QBR. His completion percentage has been unreal these past couple of games. Against the Commanders, he was 21 of 24. Against the Bucks, he was 28 for 34. And today, he was 10 of 12. He only needed to pass the ball 12 times, and the Seahawks won by 22. Seahawks are great defensively. They're getting healthier defensively. They have a great head coach, and this offense is really goddamn good. They have a lot of weapons. Their offensive line is exceeding expectations. And ultimately, they have the best wide receiver in the NFL, at least for this year. Sam Darnold, 10 for 12, 178 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He was efficient outside of the pick. Zach Charbonnet, 14 for 83 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. He continues to look great, and he's officially RB1 in Seattle. Despite him having the same amount of carries as Kenneth Walker, they clearly trust Zach Charbonnet more than Kenny Walker. Kenny Walker, 14 for 67, no touchdowns. George Holani, 7 for 31, 1 touchdown. Rashid Shaheed had 2 carries, 20 yards. Would have been great for the Buffalo Bills. Jackson Smith-Njigba. These games recently have been such big blowouts. And honestly, if they weren't blowouts, he'd probably have 200 yards these past 2 games. Each game, he probably had 400 yards in the past 2 games if the games weren't blowout. He was targeted 6 times today. He caught the ball 5 times. 903 reception yards, 1 touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 2 receptions, 74 yards. And really, this game was dominant. Sam Darnold, he did have the pick, and he had 2 fumbles for loss. So, as much as I say he's in the MVP conversations, he did have 3 turnovers today in a blowout victory. So, it's like he can't be up top the MVP conversation, but he's certainly in the middle. So, the Seahawks dominated this game, and obviously we knew this because the Cardinals needed to ultimately meet their fate with this game. Jacoby Brissett, he's a good backup. He should be starting for this team, but not a good performance from him today. Despite passing for 258 yards, Jacoby Brissett, 22 of 44, 258 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. A lot of this was garbage time because this game was like a blowout as soon as it started. It got bad quick, really bad quick. It was 38-7 heading into half. It was 35-7, I think, at the start of the second quarter. It was bad quick, man. It was bad quick. The Seattles are just dominant on offense. It's pretty wild to watch. A lot of these Cardinal stats don't matter. Like Amari Mikado, 4 for 64. Jacoby Brissett, 4 for 31. Bam Knight, 10 of 28. Trey McBride continues to be one of the best, if not the best tight end in the NFL. 9 for 127 yards, 1 touchdown. Marvin Harrison, 3 for 33, 1 touchdown. The Seattle defense is great. Their offense is great. And honestly, this is a team who should be considered amongst the Super Bowl favorites, in my opinion. They are one of the most impressive teams in the NFL, and I'm sure they're going to meet the fate that they've been meeting recently. And I'm sure this team might meet the same fate that the Sam Darnold-led Vikings had. But the Seahawks team kind of feels better than that Vikings team, I'll be honest. But anyway, the Seahawks continue to be hot. They moved to 7-2. The Cardinals fall to 3-6. Moving on, another blowout, 44-22. The Commanders are just dead. We'll get this game over with quick. This Lions just beat the crap out of them. Dan Campbell overtook the reins at OC today. He was calling the plays for the offense today. You could really tell because not only was the play calling aggressive, but the play calls were just right and perfect. Jared Goff, 25 for 33, 3 touchdowns. He was great today. Efficient, 320 yards passing. Jahmyr Gibbs, man, the top of this running back group in the NFL right now is unreal. It's really Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, and James Cook, and all 4 of those dudes are unreal. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a Hall of Famer. 15 for 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery, 15 for 71, dominant. Jameson Williams, 6 for 119 yards, 1 touchdown. Amon-Ra, 5 for 58, 1 touchdown. Sam Laporta, 5 for 53. Khalif Raymond, 4 for 49. And Jahmyr Gibbs, effective in the receiving game as well. 3 for 30, 1 touchdown. So this was just a dominant game by the Detroit Lions against a really banged up team. And honestly, the Washington Commanders are trying to play for a high draft pick at this point. No Jaden Daniels means no fun. Marcus Mariota wasn't even bad today. 16 to 22, 213 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. They weren't able to run the ball at all today. Traylon Burks led the team in receiving. Holy shit, in the year 2025. 3 for 58. Debo scored a touchdown, and Benson not scored a touchdown. The Washington Commanders are just dead. They have no defense. Their defense is one of the very worst in the NFL. And when they're playing a team like the Lions, you're going to get stomped on. So the Lions move to 6-3. The Commanders fall to 3-7. Looking back at it, I'm shocked I picked the 49ers. The 49ers, you kind of just knew they were going to lose this game. And I picked the 49ers. I don't know why, but I did, and I regret it. The Rams, they win 42-26. They move to 7-2. The 49ers fall to 6-4. I'm shocked they're 6-4. Matthew Stafford, it's, in my opinion, the MVP race is this. It's Drake Maye, Matthew Stafford. Those are the two firm leaders in the MVP race, and then the third is Jonathan Taylor. Those three have been unreal. Stafford has been unreal during this 5-game stretch. He's been so goddamn good. He hasn't thrown an interception in the past 5 games. He's been unruly, man. He has 17 passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions these past 5 games, and he's 4-1 in that stretch. And honestly, he should be 5-0 because that 49ers game was a bunch of BS. It went to overtime, and Kyren Williams shouldn't have fumbled because they would have won the game. Kyren Williams, 2 touchdowns rushing the ball today, 14-73. Devontae Adams, 6 for 77, a touchdown. Puka Nacua, 5 for 64, a touchdown. Kobe Parkinson, 4 for 41, a touchdown. Davis Allen, 2 for 8, and a touchdown. The Bills say everyone eats. You know what? Everyone eats in this Rams offense because they have 2 great receivers. They have a really good running back, and they have a great tight end core. And really, this defense for the Los Angeles Rams is over exceeding, and it's well coached. And this offense for the Rams is so great. It's so good that it can overcome the inconsistencies at defense at times. But honestly, the defense for the Rams is pretty goddamn suitable and good enough for the job. The 49ers weren't even bad today, really. It's just the injuries are just too much to overcome at this point. Mac Jones, 33 for 39, 319 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I kind of feel like Mac Jones is playing himself into a starting role on a different team. He's been that good this year, I feel like. It's kind of shocking how good he's been. 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 17th in passing, and number 12 overall in the QBR. So he's been pretty goddamn good. At least he's going to be a backup for life because that's how good he's been during the stretch for the 49ers. And you really can't ask heroic stuff from him because of the injuries. But at the same time, 33 of 39 is great. Brian Robinson led the team in rushing today, 8 for 41, 1 touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, 12 for 30. George Kittle, 9 for 84, 1 touchdown. Jawan Jennings, 6 for 71, 1 touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, 8 for 66. And really the story for this game is the 49ers defensive injuries are too bad to overcome, and the Rams are just that talented and that good at this point. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, and they might have the best offense in the NFL with maybe the best playing quarterback at the position right now, Matthew Stafford. The old vet is slinging rock and slinging pill like he's still 23. Matthew Stafford's 6th in passing yards this year, 1st in passing touchdowns. He has 25 passing touchdowns, only 2 picks, and he's 7th in the QBR. Unreal quarterback play from the Rams, and the rest of that offense is uberly talented and is well coached, obviously, by McVay. So the Rams move to 7-2. The 49ers fall to 6-4. Moving on to the final game of the slate, the Steelers, they fall to 5-4. The Chargers moved to 7-3, and this game stunk. It was a blowout. It wasn't really even competitive, and Rodgers was getting pressured all day, and they only scored a late last-minute touchdown with Roman Wilson again. The Chargers win 25-10. Listen, we talked about how depleted the Chargers O-line was heading into this matchup, and that was the biggest worry heading into today. But ultimately, they did a pretty good job outside of letting up 5 sacks. Like, they had 5 sacks today, and Justin Herbert looked pretty goddamn good, and the running game looked good enough, and the receiving corps, particularly Ladd McConkey, which is another receiver the Bills could have had in the draft. Instead, we drafted Keon Coleman, but that's a story for another day. Really, it was a battle of the trenches, and despite the Steelers getting the sack numbers, it was really the defense of the LA Chargers that really stood out today. Aaron Rodgers looked old today, man. He looked lost. He looked bad, and he looked uncomfortable. He only took 3 sacks today. He had a safety took today, though, and he threw 2 picks. He had a fumble, which he had to fall on, which resulted in a safety. Um, it was a bad day from the Steelers. The only good-looking offensive player today for the Steelers was Jalen Warren. He was running hard. He was catching the ball hard, and he was the only person who showed up for the Steelers consistently today. Outside of obviously like Benton and Highsmith, T.J. Watt, like they all showed up, but they couldn't do enough. They really couldn't do enough. Lad McConkey did what he needed to do, and the Chargers defense had Rodgers overthinking and double thinking, and finally made Rodgers look his age. Rodgers did not look good today, man. And despite Rodgers, 21st in passing this year, 17 passing touchdowns, which is fourth in the NFL, 5 interceptions, and he's 20th in the NFL in QBR. He looked bad today, man. He really did look bad today. And you got to bravo to Harbaugh and his defense for showing up and taking levity off of that offensive line for the Chargers. So, Chargers, they win this game. They get by and they blow out the Steelers. And I don't know what to think about the Steelers at this point, man. The Steelers face the Bengals next week, and then they face the Bears, and they face the Bills. I don't know what to think about the Steelers right now. To say I think they're a good team would just be a lie. I just don't like that offense at all. I just really don't. And that was my biggest concern heading into this year. That offense is not good. Their defense has been better recently. It's not been the problem recently. It's been the offense. The offense has been struggling, man. So the Steelers, they fall to 5-4. The Chargers move to 7-3. And that is it for week 10. The 1 o'clock slate was eventful. It had one of the biggest upsets of the year, if not the biggest, and the Bills falling to the 2-7, now 3-7 Miami Dolphins. It had some close games, but ultimately the rest of the slate was bad. So, listen, the Bills lost, but I still believe in this team. Am I upset? Am I gonna have a hard week? Yes. Am I gonna be on to the Bucks game by Thursday? Of course. But it's just like, man, hearing that Waddle news, hearing that Quentin Williams news, knowing that we could have had both of them, if Brandon Beane just gets out of his habits and pulls the trigger, and he didn't, it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, it's heartbreaking, it's heartbreaking. He had the statement this week saying, it's not fantasy football. It's like, yeah, but also it's like a pretty smart thing to do. Like, what's the difference between the 2026 first round pick and the 2027? Who the fuck are you lining up to pick of this year with our pick? That's going to be more of a game changer on the offensive level than Jalen Waddle. I get Jalen Waddle has injury concerns, and he has a hard time staying on the field consistently, but would have been an easy pick, man. It really would have been easy for me. Like, hey, yeah, oh, you want the 2026 instead? All right, the 2027 draft has a pretty stacked wide receiver class anyway, so we'll keep the 2027, and we'll give you the 2026. Really not that hard. It's really not that hard, and we didn't do it. So, yeah, week 10 was eventful, to say the least. I struggled. I wanted a stress-free Sunday, and instead I got a stressful Sunday that will make me angry for the rest of this week. So it is your boy Matt Talk Sports. If you made this far in the video, leave a like, comment. Let me know if your team won. Let me know if your team lost. And let me know what you thought about this recap. Would you be coming back? Would you be revisiting this channel? If that answer is yes or maybe, subscribe, turn your post notifications on, and guess what? Follow me everywhere on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Matt Talk Sports. If you like film content, follow me everywhere on Matt Talks Films, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. You will see me there. And guess what? Week 11 is on the horizon. Cherish these weeks. Even when the Bills lose, I cherish these weeks because guess what? These seasons, these months that pertain with football, they go by quick. And you got to cherish these weeks because they are the best months of the year and they are my favorite days of the year. So it is your boy Matt Talk Sports. Let me know if you made it this far in the video. And guess what? I'll see you Friday morning.